Hunter McIntyre. I'm going to tell you the first thought I had when I fired this up. You know me, I don't plan a lot of questions. I fire from the hip. His first thought I had as I was setting this up, I thought, when Hunter essentially turned down a WWE like offer, contract, whatever, I thought that might have been a mistake for Hunter because I know he doesn't want to spend 2 years, quote unquote, in the minors of NXT, and he's just not really that kind of a guy that if he's not on stage right away. But God, the platform he would have, it probably would have been better if he did that. That was my judgment of you and your decisions. And so the thought as I was firing this up was, I'm really glad that didn't happen because what we have instead so far, your life is far from over, is the greatest high roxer dude for sure. And I said in the post, we'll probably look back as the sport that Hunter built. Like you're pretty synonymous with this sport at this point, and I think we'll be looked back on like we look at Hobie.
Thanks, dude. I still think about the WWE thing all the time too. I'd be messing people up, dude. A pair of underpants looking so good. I was literally thinking, I think about Ric Flair all the time. I got Macho Man Randy Savage on me. But it's interesting. Like I was really worried 3 years ago when COVID hit and like everything started to crumble. I was like, oh my God. Like I've been building a bridge to a new life with this path for so long. And I'm realizing now that like it ends here. Like it's not gonna make it across. And I was freaked out. And now to come back and be able to be in an arena as big as that's probably the biggest level of competition I've ever competed at besides the CrossFit Games. It was insane. It was electric. Thousands of people. It's grown so much since when we first started. Being in an arena hall in Miami in 2019 and now being in like the Olympia Center in Manchester with there had to have been between 5, 7, 8,000 people. It was so insane. And it's good. It's not like rinky dink. Like it's clean. It feels nice.
Well, I was talking to Ian from UKHXR yesterday, and I said, there's a reason a lot of people went over there for the World Championships. It's not just the Elite 15. It's the way people look at this event, that if you compete and you qualify, you get to go and go against the best in the world. Now, obviously, not every age group is created equal, et cetera, et cetera. But I said, as in contrast, I'm not sure if you know this, Hunter, but there's an OCR World Championship happening in August that no one is talking about. Not the OCRWC one, the other one. And
Oh,
no
this
one's
they're trying to pitch it on.
the one that Ian Adams is like, no one in America wants to go there. Like you hear no buzz because it's not just, oh, it's a world championship, we should go and I get to be a world champion. It's just, to me, it shows the contrast of how hot Hyrox is, how much people want to be a part of it, how proud people are to post whether they made the podium or not, being there this weekend. It just shows how legit and a good job they've done. Because I went back and looked at last year's numbers. I was shocked. We had like less than 1,000 people in Vegas that competed. I didn't realize that. I would have assumed it was more. But like it like doubled this year basically.
Oh yeah, and you could tell it was just so enormous, and I was just like, wow. And that's why I'll stick it out for another year or so in this market. Like it's getting so good. I'll probably get a place over here in the fall and start spending half my time over in Europe. Like things have just changed. I signed my first major contract since 2019, I guess 2020, with this company Represent. And like that's a game changer. Like the amount of sponsorships that's coming in, the amount of opportunity that's coming in. Dude, when we were up there, like Manchester United, it's like social media team reached out to me to offer me to come to the stadium.
Dude, did you do it?
We went and watched before we even got the message. We went, it was so much fun, but they wanted us to come tour the stadium and like have fun and get to like see the whole behind the scenes thing. But it's just like the opportunities are blowing up because of this. I just got reached out and they want to have me, film some content and, with the UK military out here. It's like, damn, it was worth waiting it out. And I was just like, God, when you go from that sitting in a beanbag chair in like a little rinky dink room where I could stand in the center and touch all four walls and have nothing going on in my life to where we're at now, where I'm like, traveling around the world internationally again at this level, it's awesome. I'm so pumped and I'm relieved. I'm relieved. Because you invest so much into this stuff. And you're like, if a tree falls in the wood and there's no one's there to see it, does it really even happen type thing? Like so much of the performances that we've done in the past decade for this, like this kind of sector of sport have not really gotten buzz around it. So it's like, fuck. So to see it at this level now, it's definitely a game changer for people like you and me who are going to be like really involved in this thing for the next couple of years. It's a really bright light.
Well, I want to talk about the race itself. And for funsies, Rich Ryan was like, "Oh, let's do like a gambling odds episode," and he put you at negative 150, which is sorry, plus 150, which and then like Kent at like plus 250, which I don't know. Do you know? Do you follow gambling?
No.
You're a heavy favorite, was the point. A really heavy favorite, and he was so wrong. And it's not. He can tell you. I told him this before. Like this is not. Oh, Hunter won. It's easy to say so. It's like, listen, in this particular situation, with everything on the line, like Hunter shows up and it's like, well, he did get beat that one time a couple of worlds ago. I'm like, yeah. And look at what he learned from that. Like he dropped the fastest time ever. Like it doesn't matter who shows up on this day. Hunter's probably going to win. And the difference is the entire field is thinking about Hunter and Hunter's not thinking about the entire field.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I think probably his point was maybe to make things interesting in the conversation. And I'm not trying to be this hot shot, but in reality, like, I don't know, like, yeah, I wouldn't bet against me. It's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea. I hope he lost a lot of money on that bet.
Well, there's nothing that he's gonna. It was a fictional thing, and the point is to get bets, but that's just not even how it works. But my question to you is, and listen, while I disagree with what your friend said about Ryan Kent, that he doesn't have a champion's mindset or whatever he said, um, I definitely would say that no one's probably going to beat Hunter on that day. Not Ryan Kent, not Toby on his best day, not anybody. Like, talk about they'd have to have their best day, and Hunter would have to have his worst day. Like, even on Hunter's worst day, at Hunter at 90%, he's still better than most of the, you know what I'm saying? So I guess for you, um, I know you don't think about what the pack is going to do. You think about your strategy, or at least that's my assumption. So I guess just take me through it, because it wasn't, you really did put on a show like you kind of usually do in these times, but can you kind of take us through it? Was it just here's the plan, execute the plan executed, I won?
Well, I just came back. I was not planning on coming back. Like anybody who's listening to this and hasn't really heard the arc of the story, I was not planning on coming back. I had invested $10,000 into the idea of me going to the Olympics. I bought a boat. I bought multiple paddles, gym memberships, boat rack, moved down to San Diego. Like I was in
We need to
January
explain to people
19th.
what that was for.
I was trying to go into the Olympics for paddling. I just I competed enough in all of these sports. I'd won world championships. I'd done some pretty interesting things. Sports Illustrated top 50. But there's like this one thing that I didn't have, which was like I wasn't an Olympian. Like when you meet somebody, it doesn't matter if the person's like an Olympian in like kite flying. You're like you're an Olympian. Like that's as high as it gets. That's like higher than Harvard, higher than anything. It's such a rare place to be. And I wanted it. And I studied the sport of sprint canoeing. And I thought, based on their bodies, based on their power output, the time domain, I was like, I can beat these guys. I just have studied it. I just watched things long enough. And I was like, that's a Hunter thing. So January 19th, I find out that they changed like things out. My path to getting there had changed. I was unaware of things. And I was like, fuck, I'm not going to make it to the Olympics. So I just immediately just started training for Hyrox. And I was like, if I'm going to come back, the only way I'm going to come back is if I'm going to set just such a high bar that it's so interesting. Like, I don't want to show up and like duke it out. I want it to be fucking crazy. I want people to be like, fuck, Hunter's back. Like, this dude is just so dominant. And that's immediately the place I started for. So I just started training to get this 52-minute time. So I was on pace for 52 minutes when I was racing in Manchester just for the world championships. But then I decided I wasn't going to hit it. So I pulled back. But yeah, I just went out and I had my buddy Kyle sitting in this perfect corner right behind the entry area where he literally would tell me every single lap time. He just told me to a T. And I knew exactly what I had to hit every single lap. And I would look down at my watch and what I needed to hit for every single station. And I studied it down to a degree. I know if I ski at 138 average, I will get out 10 to 20 seconds faster than the average athlete. Like if you looked at Toby, he was skiing 149. I was skiing 138. So that's 21 seconds faster, 22, whatever. And I immediately, that's just like the gap. And you just start to add these numbers up. And I was like, I told like Dennis and a couple of my other friends, I was like, I'll have 45 seconds by the second station.
Wow.
I'll have that. So I just put this math equation down and I put it up on the wall and I got into my gym and I would look. And like another one of my plans is I put down another post-it note on my wall in front of my treadmill. And those are the names of every world champion of every single sport the greatest of all time of every single sport that we're competing in at Hyrox. And I only thought about that. I'm not competing against these guys. I'm competing against the best fucking person in the world that's ever done this. So when I was running, I was thinking of Mark Allen. When I was skiing, I was thinking of Bjorn Diali. When I was pushing, I was thinking of Bo Jackson. If I was pulling, I was thinking of Martins. If I was doing burpees, I was thinking of Matt Frazier. When I was rowing, I was thinking of Hamish Bond. When I was doing farmers carries, Martins. When I was doing lunges, I thought of Hobie because he set the world record for lunges. And then wall balls, I thought of Matt Frazier again. And that was just my mindset. I was like, this is the formula. And if this formula loses, at least you created a formula and you stuck to it. But if you stick to it and it wins, it will win so dominantly that no one will have a chance. So that was it. That was the game plan. I didn't give a shit about what anybody else was doing because it wasn't going to change what I was doing. That's my point.
Uh, I like have goosebumps now. Wow. That's serious, bro. That's serious. I mean, that's wow. Um, I think I think it's great to hear that. I think all of us sports fans, we the people that we do admire, and you're someone that people look up to. It's like, well, how does he do that? Like, how, like, why, like the greatest hitter in the world or Wayne Gretzky, it's like he can explain it to you, I guess, but it's who he is and what he's a part of. And I feel like that sort of mindset, that's what a world champion does. Like, I don't think anybody did that besides you, man or woman, this weekend. Now, people might start doing that. That's a cool thing. Like, I didn't even know half those names. I'm gonna Google them. But that's a winning formula.
Yeah. And that's what it was, dude. And there were so many other things that I had to add and subtract from my life. I stopped hanging out with a lot of people. I didn't go out on dates. I didn't do anything. Like I
Wait a
just
minute, you didn't go out on any
completely,
dates? All right, come on now.
I'm telling you the
I've
truth,
seen your
dude.
I've seen your DMs, my friend. Not a single. You were just pushing them away, kicking them to the curb.
Gone, dude. I was like, no, I spread the ocean. I fucking pushed the pack across, pushed the pack away. And dude, I could only see one thing because in reality, I had this conversation with myself when that January hit. I said, I have two choices that are going to happen here. I'm either going to just completely pull out of sport and I'm going to build my businesses and they'll do great. And I'll probably lackadaisically work out and I'll probably go start having a lot of fun traveling, fucking around, drinking, going on dates, hooking up, whatever the hell I want to do. Or you can take the next 6 months and just put everything away and make the decision of becoming a world champion and a world record holder again in a way that is going to change your life. And what I've done all those other things a million times over for the past, X amount of years. I was like, there's nobody who's going to sit at the table and like listen to me telling stories about how I've been drinking and partying and doing all this stuff. And then they're like, okay, cool. We all do that. And I just put myself in a place where I said, man, if you do this, your life is going to change forever. Take the risk, take the gamble. I got the biggest contract in my entire life with this brand. I've got all these other amazing opportunities that I've ever done. They're all set up right in front of me, man. And it was the sacrifices and the time that I took away from friends, family, any of the vices of the world. And I locked myself down over the past 6 months and I gave myself nothing but what was necessary. And I can honestly say I'm on the other side, dude, sitting on a couch right now, hungover. It all worked out. And no one's ever going to believe in it. They're going to celebrate it at the end. They'll sit there and be like, oh, that's cool. But they're not going to believe in it the way that you are. You can be the only person who's going to draw the line in the sand and then fucking toe it and get the work done every single day. And, admittedly, this was probably my hardest training camp because the least amount of people showed up for it. Usually I had a lot more people show up and I was by myself a lot of the training. And I was like, you know what? Just because they're not here does not mean that you're not going to show up. So I just kept on doubling down and look at, we're fucking here.
Well, and I think for any athlete, it's really hard to be that committed and to put in that much work. And you also are running a business. You have a supplement business, and you're also in the Hunter McIntyre business, which means you have to post a lot on social. And I know you have help, but I know you're not at the level of like you don't have a team of 7. You know what I mean? So, uh, what are you sacrificing? Like, do you get less sleep, or just I don't know. I feel like you're doing a lot.
Like I'll admit, like I would drive down and my friend just opened a social club down in Venice, which is like, these kind of incubator, we work spaces, and all the fucking hottest girls in the entire world are there. All the coolest people are having fun. And I show up and I'll say hi for 15 minutes. And then my friends will call me like, dude, you missed out. We did X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, okay. My birthday comes, I could be out dancing with my pants off and shirt off on top of a table anywhere I want in the world. And I get on a bike and I rode for 8 hours through the mountains of Cyprus on my birthday. And I climbed 10,000 feet with a bunch of German women that couldn't speak a lick of English. Like I just kept on making the decisions that were the ones that were necessary, not the ones that I dreamed of and the ones that I wanted to do, or the ones that I chopped off immediately. The first idea that ever hit my head, I would always cancel. And I made sure that I changed the favorites on my phone to just people that I could talk to every single day that would keep me in line. My dad, Dennis Welch, um, my buddy Lou, and Rich Diaz, my buddy Mike Tremello. Like I just would call the people that were 100% necessary. And like, I'm not trying to tell anybody like this is a woe is me story. Like my life's fucking awesome. But I will tell you, it's the difference between, I had conversations with a couple of the other pros and they were telling me what they were up to. And I was like, you better plug all that shit away. And they're like, what? And they laughed at me. And I was like, okay, I'll see you on game day.
So I usually don't do this kind of stuff with you, but let's do it. Let's do a little like zone breakdown. Um, so running 3:24. Well, first of all, when you heard it was 4 laps, how do you approach that? What goes through your mind?
I immediately was like, damn it. But then I thought to myself, I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm going to start lapping these guys like 5 minutes in. And you know what that is? It's just me pouring sand over your dead body. Like it's a miserable place to be passed like that. Every single time I pass you, it's just more dirt, more sand. And it's weighing you down even more mentally. There's nothing worse than getting passed.
No,
Um,
I don't like getting passed by someone in my local 5K, especially at the end, right? Like that's the worst feeling in the world. All right, so we're
yeah,
off and running. 3:24. You're did you what time did you want to be into the first station?
it didn't matter. I had to find out what it was going to take to go around those 4 laps first, because you never know. Like everybody says these courses are all the same, but they're just not. So I never try to set the bar. I just know that every single time I was running a 3:30 or less pace in my training. So we hit the 3:24. And then from there, I made sure, as I said, my buddy was hitting me with lap times and I wanted to be at 49 or less per lap. So every single time he'd tell me, I'd either adjust.
All
So
right.
that was how we did running.
So the ski erg 3:36. What did you think you were going to do with ski erg again?
You do the math on that 138. That's exactly it.
Uh So the second run is 329, so almost the same. So he's just yelling out. And this is what I was saying to people, like, even not in World Championship, you should have a buddy. If you're racing elite, you should have a buddy counting your laps for it. You should have a buddy doing something. Like, I feel like it's a necessary thing at that level, and it's not that hard to get a friend to be like,
No,
hey,
no.
can you yell out lap two? Like, well, not even split times, just to make sure you don't do the wrong number of laps, even.
I
Um,
think if they want to progress this sport to the highest level, people should have 1+1 to be able to give you lap times and also give you nutrition. Like they didn't have that set up for us. If I'm going to advocate for anything next year, we should always be able to have a +1.
and
And like
but
that's
for
just
space reasons, where do they get to go?
no, I mean like you got to just have like a gated off area in like one area that's considered just like your nutrition thing
Like
or
the
whatever.
coaches or whatever area. So
Yeah,
do
and
so for
so
that work so for that workout, we saw you grab water, I think, a couple times. Do you store any calories on you? Or do you go 100%
no,
just
but I want to start doing it. In training, I would use BOA, and I think I'll probably
Boa?
BOA. BOA's always been good, and like I could potentially start taking in fuel elsewhere. Like I think that would be really good, but I don't want to risk it. Like the shorts that I race in, I just don't want to have a can on me. But if I had a table, I'd be like bam, bam, and throw it back down. Like if I had a partner hand it to me and I could hit it and then toss it back to him, like it'd be a game changer. And if we're gonna keep on pushing the level of the sport, that's what we got to do. Like, in Tour de France, they have people riding alongside them in cars all the time. Like, we're just talking about high level endurance sports. And, if we want to start breaking more records and improve this thing, we need the support.
All right, so second run is 329. Sled 221. Sleds are always a toss up, but what did you in your mind think you were going to do on the sleds?
It didn't matter. I changed. The other sticker here was train sleds until you bleed. I spent so much time going from world record pace into a hard sled push into world record pacing running. So I just needed to clean that up a little bit and get out and be quick. That was my only goal, was to get out and be quick. So that worked well on both. And I don't know. I just told myself I'd be 45 seconds up by then, which I was.
All right, well, I guess I have to ask you, uh, why did you feel the need to communicate to one particular athlete, uh, I can't remember if it was between sled push and sled pull. Your old rival Dave Magida. That was very specific. You didn't do that to Kent. You didn't do that to
No,
any of those
it was
guys.
100% targeted at him. He knows what he did wrong. He's a dick. You and I have been in the sport for so long that eventually you step on someone's toes too many times and you just write that person off. David Watson's one of those people to me. There's another David on my, shit list also. So I don't need to get into details. I just listen, if you're going to talk shit about me or do things about me, trust me, when your day of reckoning comes, I'll be the fucking person standing over you. And that's my opinion, and I let it hold its value, and it worked. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I will contrast that by saying what some might say is, well, that's not what a champion does. A champion should be gracious in victory and defeat. So, for example, not for example, just what
Conor
do you say about that
McGregor,
piece?
Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ric Flair. I'm trying to think of just people that were like awesome trash talkers. What was the name of the was it Bubba Watson?
The race car
There's just
driver?
what's that?
The race car driver, Bubba Watson?
Listen, you also have people like Michael Jordan. You have people like whatever is the Mamba, Black Mamba. You got so many people who are just like humongous icons in sport, and trash talking at the highest level is just there. And it's not your business. So stay the fuck out of it. You guys can all have opinions, but I'm the one running in circles and you guys are the ones watching. So unless you're in the arena, it's not unsportsmanlike. It's all part of the game. And you know what? It swings both ways. I get it all the time. People chew me out and talk shit about me all the time. So am I not allowed to because I'm the best?
I'm smiling. It's fun to talk to you, Hunter. What can I say? Like I love talking to you because you're a champion and I love talking to successful people. I also know you all these years. I know what this means to you. And I also know it's hard for me not to think about like, oh my God, what people are going to react to. Like I know people will have opinions about this and it's just I don't know, I'm just smiling. It's just fun to talk to you. I don't know what to say.
Well, then listen,
It's not, put it to you
I,
this way.
I
I'm not trying to like let me sit here and draw clickbait from Hunter, but I know this is now clickbait material, quote unquote. That's all.
and I knew it was going to get brought up, but at the same time, like, we're all adults, and just don't show up and, throw rocks when you live in a glass house, because I shattered that shit.
Okay, moving on. BBJ. How much time do you put working into that?
A lot. I studied my form. I take a broomstick and I put it over myself to keep my burpees low. I study my hand placement. I study my foot placement. I do yoga so that I have the mobility to do the things that I need to do.
So time wise, 227. Again, is that just probably where you wanted to be?
I mean, we do it. So this is the difference between the grid and like other races. Like, I think my best burpees are always under 2 minutes. And like this is, obviously an extra 27 seconds on top. So I just accept it for what it is as long as I'm in front.
Are you where how are you feeling now? Like halfway through the race? Like I know I'm ahead of the competition, right?
Yeah.
Foot on the gas.
I think I was 48 seconds ahead of the world record at this point. And I personally started to feel like not good. I own a hydration company, so this doesn't sound good, but it had nothing to do with my hydration because it was on point and I studied the amount of hydration and product that I needed to do. But I had a quad shot of espresso before this with a bunch of honey in it, and I started to get like cramps in my psoas and abs, and it started to go on the inside of my thighs, and I was like, I have to pull back. And that's when I started putting water all over myself. I was like, I need to start pulling back because the likelihood of like absolute failure is now in the conversation. Like one of those debilitating cramps where you can't even move your leg. And it was starting to happen. And I was like, I can't do this, but I can stay at like 85, 90%, but I can't go 110. I can't go 105%. You know what I mean?
So your
So
goal before the race started was smash everyone plus world record. And then it became okay, B goal, just be the world champion.
yeah, I had run 52 so many times in training. I was like, this is very possible. So I was like, I just was waiting on the
What
day. I
but
tried it in Anaheim too, and I just couldn't do it. And I decided to drop out of the race because it's just, what am I going to do? I'm going to get to the finish line and they're going to give me another bus token. Um, I, but this is world championships. It's a different story. Like, you show up and this is where we like are meant to really do the thing.
yeah,
So
and I think that's a part that again, people just don't understand. Like, but I think for your competition, it get like they thought, oh, we've seen a crack in Hunter, and I have to say that's actually not good for them because it's the opposite. But I'm just for me, I kind of like I know he's done it before, and it's like it's not. It seems people do that, whether you agree that it's smart or it's what you would do. Who cares? It's like, but this is the kind of thing that people, not Hunter McIntyre, a person at this level would do. I'm out to do X at the end of the day, like you said, I'm gonna get a nice little medal that says like that doesn't like, but he'll show up on race. He'll show up when it counts, and that's again not an opinion of you. That just to me is like you're operating somewhere else. You're not. People can't. I
yeah,
feel
I
like
mean,
that.
there's a,
I feel like that line from. I feel like that line from fucking Few Good Men when he's like, you know, you live in a world with walls, and I don't think you have the capacity to even fathom like what we're doing here to protect you. So shut the fuck up, basically.
yeah. Yeah. And like, dude, you should have seen the DMs and the messages about people just like saying I'm so disrespectful and pathetic for dropping out because I wasn't gonna allow myself to like fairly be beat by Kent and everything. And I just you stop giving a fuck because it's just like it's this It's your world, and there's people you've never met that are just fucking throwing shade at you all the time. And I get it. It's a sport. And I made a post afterwards trying to explain it, and people still, did it. So this was what I was trying to do. This is a chart of my training over the past 6 months. And basically,
That's not your Bitcoin account.
that is billionaire. But I went all the way up. And if you look at April, like April is
So
right
he's
where that
showing. So I got to tell the audience, the people who are listening, it's a Strava account, and it's showing the increase in performance, and it is very straight
over
up.
it's over 6 months. And I went as hard as I could to peak. And that's where I did the last test there. And I was like, okay, I'm like really overworking my body. I need to come down. So I came down. You can see on the other side of the graph, like I very clearly start to cut off the training, and then it starts to go down on the other side. So I reached my peak and I started to come down, and that was it. So that's where that all came into play. And, obviously worked out.
So so for the second half of the race, like mentally, by the time you hit farmer's carry, which you know you're gonna like kind of zip in and out of, um, you actually had like not you were the fifth fastest to farmer's carry. So by that point, that was like I no longer need to be on record pace, but I know what I need to do to win.
It was just management. As I said, it was like that 85 to 90%. Like, don't take any risks. Like, a world title is super valuable at this point. You get that, right?
Yes.
Yes. It'd be like being in a race car and they're like, hey man, if you keep at this pace, you're going to pop one of your tires.
Yeah. Do you want to
And
pop a tire at the right before the finish line, or do you want to win?
exactly. It's just like, hey, keep it down for the next 2 laps. You win and just get it done. So like that's where I went. And like you could tell, like when I was on the wall balls, like I was really like, I have to drop the ball every 7 to 10 reps or it's gonna seize up.
You had one of the worst wall balls of the day. You were 11th in wall balls, which I'm just now seeing. That's hilarious.
Well, I'm telling you the truth. But you saw me cross the finish line, and everybody was like falling on the floor, exploding. I was fine. I just didn't want to cramp.
No, I think that's smart. I also would think about it like a title fight, right? Like if you're ahead on points, you want to start swinging a bunch of haymakers that are going to like give your opponent a chance to knock you out, or you just like, let's maintain and
Open
win
you
this
up.
thing.
Take it. Yes. Yes.
And again, by the way, you still maintaining quote unquote is still at a level more like it's still in the 1% of the 1%.
And we set a world record on the grid. So like the grid racing, technically open field racing, I have the record. I don't think they're ever going to put this in the books, but grid style racing, I hold the record there too now. But everybody's improvements, everybody improved. The results were really impressive. Like, Ronkovic was right there 50 seconds behind me, 55 seconds behind me. So it was good. The field last year was all like sitting around. I was at 58 and everybody was sitting around 60 plus. Now everybody's down into like the sub 60s, which is awesome. Like you clearly saw a massive leap in performance for the whole field from last year.
So you said you want to quote unquote stick around for another year.
Yeah.
Where do you go though for the rest of this? I mean, we're kind of already turning around to qualify for the next year's championships, which are still kind of up in the air. So how are you looking at the future or the immediate next 12 months, I guess, or 6 months?
I mean, so I don't know if this is going to happen. They say this is going to happen every single year, but here's how I would envision it. Now, I don't own the company, but I do have some value to add to this thing. I think what they should do is they should sit down with the athletes and discuss how to design a season that is most viable for progress of sport, progress of business, of individuals, and the company itself. They're like, oh, we're going to do these 4 championships and they're going to be all over the place. And I was like, man, you can't pay people in bus tokens to fly around the world to go do these perceived championships. So here's what I think would be valuable. One, athletes need to basically, be able to discuss where they're going to get the most value out of their season, where they're going to get the most value monetarily out of their season. And then Hyrox needs to be honest about what they're planning on designing well ahead of time so that we can start to like set up for it. Like I personally am going to try to get the doubles. Well, I'm not going to try. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the doubles world title back for men. I'm going to get the mixed doubles title, and I'm going to get the mixed relay title or relay title. I'm going to get those three things in the open season, and then I'm going to probably show up to a championship. And then I'll probably I'm going to get that 52 or less on an open course, and then I'll just go to win the world title again.
Who is your doubles? Who is your men's doubles partner?
Kent and I discussed it. I'd probably race with Kent, and I'd probably race with Jacoby. She asked me to do it, so I think that'd be really fun. And then mixed relays, I don't know, probably like, Weeks, Jacoby, myself, Kent, just a superstar American team. And
Well, you
you know,
said you said they would sit down. You would sit down with them, but isn't that what they did? Didn't they have some meeting with you guys?
I don't know. I didn't show up, but I talked about it with them afterwards. And the thing is they've got a business model and they're trying to make this a profitable thing. I totally get it. But I just think that they don't necessarily need to front all the money, but they do need to change some things in the way that it's, I don't know, more affordable for athletes to show up places and want to participate in these things and really make them more interesting. And also the viewership shit was so poor up until championships. The championships live stream was sick. If they could do that 4 more times next year leading up to a world championship, I guarantee they 10x the viewership. So like now we're into 40 to 50,000 live viewers at watching this thing, but you need to start like first one 5, second one 7, third one 15, fourth
Yeah,
one 20.
it's expensive. You know what I mean? It's an investment they have to make, but I think they should. I think they should as well. I mean, I think we had these same conversations with Spartan for years.
It's so easy though. I mean, in reality, like let's just say it costs them $250,000 to do the budget for that. That's 2 to 4 sponsors. Really is.
Well, I
It
don't think it
is.
cost them that much. I don't think this was that expensive. I mean, it was expensive, but it wasn't $250,000.
No, I'm just saying. Let's say they throw and they have the most insane budget ever, the full media team running this thing. And I have a whole media team now. I know what it costs, and I fly these people around, and we do editing, and we do that, and we get it done, and we produce stuff. So I have a pretty good understanding of what it looks like behind the scenes. If they invested that much money, they would pull so many sponsors, and then take athletes like ourselves and be able to increase our visibility and value to the company. Megan Jacoby has 6,000 followers. You get that girl up to 100,000 followers real quick. She provides a lot more value to the company.
Yeah, I think these are some of the same questions we have in OCR and CrossFit, which is 10x or whatever you want to say, X of Hyrox, has still some of the same issues. How do you get this thing bigger? How do you get more people to watch it? How do you get the average person to do it?
You've got 2 case studies, CrossFit and Spartan Race. CrossFit is still going and has bigger and bigger name athletes every single year, like really superstars that like are household names. And then you've got Spartan Race, which is like they had just the same amount of energy and then they tanked it. So, if I was sitting there and I owned Hyrox, I'd be like, okay, these are 2 interesting case studies. Maybe we should go with case study A instead of the case study B.
Yeah. And I think they do a lot of things right. And I think you and I unfortunately see some of the same frustrations that we see in Spartan, but I have a awful lot more hope, right? I have a lot more hope. I think OCR is going to stay the size that it is, and it's never going away, but it's capped, right? And I see a much bigger horizon for these guys, but it is almost frightening to hear you say, hey, I think this is what we should do, is have these guys sit down and do, and that's the exact same question, right? We asked of OCR for years and years and years. And like you said, I think we're seeing how it turned out.
What was his name? Sam.
You always bring that guy up, but I'm talking not just Sam, this any of them. You know what I mean? Any of the people that came and went that thought they had a decent idea, or the frustrations we've all had with Spartan. And listen, Spartan has grown a worldwide brand. Like they exist in the world as a worldwide brand. If I say to this guy sitting across from here in this co-working place, have you heard of Spartan Race? He probably has. But you and I know where it could be dollars wise, right?
Yeah. My biggest regret, I'm telling you right now, is not recording more of what I did. God, the places I would be if I'd started like this level of recording and focus a long time ago, it would have changed my
You mean
life.
giving, you mean showing people your behind the scenes workouts, or what do you mean?
I just think that media, whether it be podcasting, pictures, reels, long form, you're seeing these guys on YouTube who are literally more powerful than like production companies at the highest level.
Oh yeah,
Like,
they're starting to reach out to them.
yeah, Mr. Beast, like Austin, my partner, dude. Like, dude, the amount of pull and power and influence that these people have is out of this world.
Dude, McAfee's like my hero, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, dude. I can't even begin to tell you like the amount of opportunities I'm witnessing because I started cross mingling with the YouTube crowd and I started to learn more about it and I started to understand the potency of the energy and the reach and everything like that. Media controls everything. It's just it creates so much influence. And if these major companies are not going to do it, then you have to be the person who's going to step above them and beyond them and do it for them. And like, that Hyrox filmed me in Barcelona racing and they recorded the whole thing and then lost the fucking video. And I mean, it's just like I sit there and I'm like, how many monkeys does it take to screw in a light bulb with this company? And my video came out and we got, I think we're around 100,000 views on it because it's the only source there is. And I'm not
Right.
trying to brag about my own company. You're just like that. That's
No, no,
what you
no.
have to do.
I am definitely confused about why this was only shown on their site and Red Bull TV, and even still, it's living on Red Bull. And if it lived on YouTube, it's going to get seen by so many more people. So I don't quite understand that. But I don't know what their deal was financially. But again, I'm really hoping they kind of figure it out. Um, the people are talking about Murph again, and your world record Murph, it was broken by Alec, right? Legit reps, right? That thing has no views because like the answer is like you got to market, you got to promote, you got to give the folks a reason to watch, right? Like Alec's phenomenal. I don't know if you follow his YouTube. He's a fucking maniac, right? Um, but no one
Good.
really cared. And I love Alec. I've known him since he was a kid, but like no one cared that he set the world record, quote unquote, because you promoted it, you got excited about it, you talked about it, you got people involved, you got me involved. Anyway, so yeah, I think I think you and I can both be a force for good. I think um you know uh, fortunately, unfortunately, it's like the same thing that works for you can work against you, right? This is me speaking personally as well, right? Because people's feelings get hurt, or they're very protective of their own way, right? And so they think they have the right answer and they don't want to be told by some athlete, well, how can you tell us to do it better, even though you might be right.
I'm tired of waiting. I'm not going to wait anymore. I'm not going to wait anymore. I've only got a couple years left. And I spent so much time waiting. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, it's going to come. And I know you know what I'm talking about.
Of course.
And it's one of these kind of things where shit, like I'm just starting to realize that the world's a game and it's a board game and you can either, it's like almost like Monopoly and you kind of get it and you start going and then all of a sudden a couple rounds in you start to realize how serious it is and you can either play to win or you can play to lose and I've just switched my mindset completely and I've decided to go all business, all analytics, all hard as fuck about it. And my life's still super exciting about it, but I have changed my approach to this whole game and you'll see it's going to work.
Well, if you look at, I think Austin's an awesome case study because Austin's not some like 20-year-old kid, right? Austin's a man, and he started posting these things and was like, oh, this works. Let me learn about YouTube's algorithm. Let me learn about view duration, or as he calls it, view duration. I don't know what he was saying the first 10 times he said it, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one would say, there's a tech genius, Austin Alexander, right? He's kind of a meathead, kind of like you, right? But look what he's done with what he's built. And I know you know, like, I know you know what I'm talking about, is that you and I over here, like, on the fucking rabbit wheel, right, for our bus tokens, going, wait a minute, look what this guy just did. So yeah, it's awesome. Power to the people, right?
Yeah. Take it in your own hands, man. It will be interesting though. I hope, like, the last thing I'm going to say about at least Hyrox is like it's the best it's ever been, and I know it can be so much better. It just needs, like, people need to be a little bit more cohesive about the process. And if that it does end up turning out, I think it will be an incredibly cool place to be in the next couple of years.
All right, let's wrap up with, you said you're going to get a place over there. Is that because Builder is so big in the Europes?
It's mind
Builder,
blowing.
your company, BLDR.
The LDR, dude. Look at these things. I'm gonna show you this real quick. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this, Daddy. Like, look at what's going around gyms all around the world now. That's a little box of my single serve packets with Big Daddy right there. Look at him
That's
just reaching into this guy.
that's the 2022 World Championship picture, I think.
Yep. You get single serve packets and stuff. These are being shipped out to gyms all over Europe.
Are
And,
you, what's the is there a retail or Amazon plan with that?
no, not Amazon. It's not necessary. But retail, we're in stores here now. Like, we're making gym partnerships, everything. And
What about the big box America?
oh yeah, for sure. For sure. That's probably like that's year three. We're technically on not even year one. We're in year one in Europe. We have about 18 months worth of business in the United States. And I really love it over here, man. Like, I went to the Hackney Half Marathon. 25,000 people competed, probably almost double that. And people just like there, like participating, watching, supporting. It was insane. I go, dude, no hydration companies whatsoever. They have
Wow.
a CBD company, a bubble gum company, and beer. All they gave people was water. And I was like, this is insane. Like, you would not be able to walk through one of these events without people trying to hand you things in the United States, like here, 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 here. I was like, I have to stop sitting on my phone and looking at what's going on over here. I need to be in the weeds. I need to get into the thick of what's going on over here in this market, and I need to start growing it. And one thing I've recognized about the UK and European community is they're so community driven. Like, it's proper, like, sit down in a cafe, get to know each other. I can't be some dude across the world sending you emails. My business partner Tom and his wife Dina are such amazing people, but in reality, I'm the dude on the box. Like, I need to go and start to be the dude. So I need to start closing these meetings. Like, we've already had so much valuable interest and already, you know, value coming back to us, and the amount of purchase and orders that we're getting. It's growing so fast that it'd be stupid not to.
I've always wondered though, when it goes to those, like, apparently if you're in Walmart or Kroger or whatever, like, they take such a massive cut that it's like, is it worth it? But if they're moving millions and millions of units, it's still worth it. I've always been kind of fascinated by that world.
I'll put it to you this way. Like, if it sells for 20, you're probably buying it and creating it and then shipping it for like 10 to 15 total. And you know how it is, like, money just somehow wiggles its way off the top all the time. So you're definitely not making back 50%, but it's pretty good. And then all of a sudden, when you go to those big box things, they check off like another, 20%. So if you're up selling millions of orders, making 20% margins over the top, like, yeah, it's pretty good, safe money. But I probably, like, you can't even go to a grocery store here and go in and get a sports drink. It's just like coffee, water, and beer. That's it. So yes, being a big box store, like Grenade is a protein bar company, and they were the number one sold chocolate bar in all of the UK. So Cadbury just came in and bought them for $400 million. They're like, we're tired of this company selling more chocolate bars than the chocolate bar company. So they buy it. So I just see that and I'm like, interesting. Interesting.
Would you
So
would you go on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den?
no. What am I going to tell them? Hey, I've got a really great idea. You should invest in it. They're like, yeah, we hear tons of ideas. I'm like, perfect. I don't want you to know about mine because I'm going to get rich without you. I'm going to buy the private jet right next to yours on the tarmac. And you'll be like, hey, how'd you get that jet? And I'm like, well, I first of all didn't go on your show and I kept all my equity and I got rich on my own.
That picture I think would be perfect for the tail, right? Because it's you like reaching up to the skies.
That's right, dude. Yeah. 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 It's going to be there, dude. I'm telling you right now. Mark my words and we'll celebrate when we get there.